Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome you all to the second session of this antenna design workshop. We are going to now design an antenna for biomedical application. And this one, yeah. So in the morning session, we have discussed or you have listened about the various biomedical applications with respect to the telemedicine and wearables and implantable devices. I've shown you the product themselves, and I've also taken you through the journey of what are the different types of antennas which you can design for biomedical applications. Right. So that's what we have dealt as of now. And in this session, up to maybe 2:30 p.m., you are now going to see how to design an antenna using the tool called Advanced Design System software. It is abbreviated as ADS software. Maybe regardless of whether you are a beginner or you don't even know anything about an antenna, this software is a simple to use tool. I began my journey in this software only during my PG, that is ME days. My guy just wanted me to do a project in antenna, but that's all. I did not know what to do and I did not know what software to choose. Just because my guide suggested me to do an antenna, project in antenna, and at that point of time, the software available in our college was ADS software. So that's how I got in touch with this tool back in 2011. Right. Since then, it has been a part of my career and it has been a part of my role as an entrepreneur also. Right. So, EDS tool is a very powerful tool with respect to the RF circuit design or in general any IoT or 5G based transceiver design. You can design antennas, amplifiers, filters. You can simulate the entire communication block using this area software tool. And you can import uh, cadence files, PCB layout files inside the layout tools here, and analyze the various high-speed digital circuit anomalies also. Right, so like that, it's a very powerful tool which is used by companies like Qualcomm and companies like Atmel. Right, so why I'm telling you only those two companies because I have trained their engineers how to use this software. Right, so that's why confidently I'm telling you that. Right, so AD software is a very powerful tool. It can make or break your career in a single shot. Right. So if you want to get into the RF industry or if you want to get into the antenna design industry, ADS is a very good start for you. Maybe once you learn ADS, you have other tools like EM Pro, HFSS, CST to guide you through. Right. But if you want to keep it simple, if you want to just design PCB based antennas, and also design the other circuits like the amplifier and filter. ADS is a very powerful tool. ADS in the sense Advanced Design System software. So it's from a company called Keysight Technologies, and as I said, I started my career as a technical support engineer for Keysight Technologies distributor. Right, so it was back in 2012, and yeah, so that's how close this software is to me. And similarly, it can be a very good software for your career development also. Right. As I said in the morning itself, I just have water from time to time. Don't mind the gaps in my speech. Right. Sorry for that. Right. So ADS has two types of windows. This is the main window. After this, you have two types. One is the PCB or breadboard level design, where you can pick and place different components. And the other window is where you can draw your antennas and draw your other PCB circuits like antennas or microstrip transmission lines. Right. As a beginner, you might seem or you might understand that these words are a little tough, but actually, if you start designing antennas, you'll get accustomed to these different wordings, right? So don't worry about it. So I'll just go through the procedure first. So I'll just go to file and click on new and click on new workspace. So here projects or your project name or folder is called as workspace in this entire tool, right? So first job which you have to do is once you install the ADS software, you have to go and create a new workspace for your project. So I go to file, click on new workspace. I rename this workspace as Avita, right? Then I click on create workspace. So workspace is a folder for all your projects. So inside your workspace, you can create a layout, you can create a PCB schematic, that's your choice. You can create both, you can do co-simulation, that's your choice. But the head folder here is your workspace, Savita, right? So now I go to the file and now I go to click on new and I go to, because we are designing antenna, I'll start with the layout. Right, if the time permits, we'll also go and see the schematic view. Right, so here I just go to click on layout and I have to rename this layout. Right, I'll just type it as ISM or I'll just go by the topic biomedical biomedical antenna. Right, I just click on create layout. And here the software will ask us what is the resolution of your design, right? Which means that what is the dimension or what is the minimum dimension you are going to measure. Either it is millimeter or mils or microns. So these are the different terms used with respect to different countries and different technologies, right? For example, if you are going for a VLSI design, their microns are used. If you are going for a British standard regular design, their millimeters are used. If you are going for US standard PCB design, their mils is used. Mils is millionth of an inch. It is not millimeter. MIL is millionth of an inch, right? And in it there is millimeter. So India maybe closely follows British uh, notations. So we choose millimeter layout resolution. Again, depending on tomorrow when you go to a company and you are employed in any company, at that point of time, depending upon the project for whom you are working, you will choose either one of these, right? So go, I just choose millimeter and click on finish. So I'm going to just draw a very simple rectangular microstrip patch antenna because I was told that you are all beginners with the antenna design. Right. I'll just draw a design. Maybe if you are really excited, you can draw much more complex antennas. But for a beginner level, this is the antenna which I draw for even industry people. Right. So don't worry about that. It's going to be a comparatively simple antenna today. Right. So this is the layout window. So this is the black color screen which you see there is the place where you will draw your antenna. So there are three types of drawing here. The one is can there you can see the shapes, circle or rectangle on the top. I can go and pick a circle and draw that circle design. Right. Or I can go to the circle and draw a circle, right? Or I can double click on it and at the bottom I can here in the left hand side if you can see I can change the radius. Now it is 3.7. At the bottom right hand side you can see I'm changing it to 2. 2 means 2 mm, right? I can change the dimensions here. Right, and then you can also pick up a rectangle, draw it as escape. Right, and if you want to edit the dimension, you can at the bottom right hand side, you can see there is width and height. Right, I can change the width and height here. So this is one way of drawing regular shapes or regular design, or you can just like paint and minimize the dimensions like this, like that. Right, this is one way of drawing. The other way of drawing or other type of drawing here is the predefined microstrip lines here on the right left hand side. You can see that the component palette, and here you can see the predefined lines here. So just like this, you can pick and place. So this is the coupled lines used for PCB layout structures, high-speed digital circuits. Then you have pinned structures, If you can zoom in, you can see the bend structure there. So these are used for routing the PCB routes lines across the PCB board. You have right angle bends, right? This is matter. Come when you don't have any components, right? So you have bends, then you have the curved bends. You can see the curved bend here. So like that, you can also include these kinds of structures if you want. If for example, if you want to draw a circle, what I can do is I can easily, if you want to create a spiral, not spiral, a toroid, right? So if you can to do that, I can create a circle like this simply by placing a circle like this, right? So this is another way of drawing a toroid or a ring-like structure, right? So there is one thing, and you can, what we have other than that, we have the microstrip capacitors, right? So the interdigital capacitors. So if when you learn about the microwave integrated components, so this is a capacitor. So without having a solid capacitor, the transmission lines can be designed in such a way that this entire structure gives an overall response, or it behaves like a capacitor, right? So this is, we have capacitor models here, you have inductor models here. So this loop like structure will give us inductive effect, right? So these are used in closely packed MMICs or RFICs that can be used in the biomedical application, right? So when you talk about a miniaturized sensor which has to be placed inside your body, that's where you use all these components to minimize the surface area of your circuit and pack in a miniature form factor, right? Then you have normal transmission lines, simple normal rectangular transmission lines, right? Then you have P junctions or junctions for your design. So these are all general PCB components or PCB design components available for us here. Right. So either you can draw your designs freely from the regular shapes, or you can go to insert and go to polygon and create any type of polygon structures. You can use these already available coupled lines, curves, and the microstrip inductors and couplers for designing of your circuit. Right. You also have wire structures here for multi-layered PCB design. You can use these wire structures here for the multi-layer design. Right. So you have lot of types of wires depending upon the number of layers you have in your PCB structure. You can use different types of wires. Right. So this is the second way of drawing. The third way of drawing is like the other software tools like EMPRO, HFSS, and CST, where you use coordinate entry points. Right. So instead of drawing a component like this, you go by the rectangular graph notations. Right. For example, here you see a solid blue or white color line. Right. So what you see there is the 0, comma 0 point exactly at the center. That is the 0, comma 0. So from the 0, comma 0, you create a structure like that using the coordinate points. Right. So that's the third way of drawing any circuit here in this layout window. Right. So either you can draw freely, or you can use the already existing component and create a circuit out of it, or you can use the coordinate entry type. So you can also mix all these three types, or in case you want your antenna design wants that, right? So these are the ways to draw your design. So what simply you're doing here is you are just drawing your design, right? And what layer is that? That is the top metal layer which we saw in the last slide or last before slide in the first section, right? So I'll just show you that also, right? So here I'll just set up the EM electromagnetic simulation just to show you that substrate, right? So what we are doing here is, I'll tell you about this, right? So don't worry. So what we are doing here is we you remember that sandwich layer which I showed you, right? All was gray there, right? So here you can see the bottom yellow color line, the larger yellow color line, that's the ground. In between sky blue layer alumina, that is, sorry, that is the substrate, the dielectric material, and on top of that the conductor, that is the conductor layer. So that conductor layer is where we are going to draw this antenna, where we are drawing this antenna. Right. We don't need to specify this alumni. We just need to specify the alumni here. Uh, 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 that's it, right? And the ground, this ADA software will automatically allocate the ground for it. Right? So don't worry about that. So that's why I don't. This is a comparatively easy tool for antenna design compared to the other software tools. Right. Just a moment. Let's put the phone aside. Yeah. So, so this is the substrate cross section. So we are going to draw an antenna now in this conductor layer. So this image is just to understand the layers which in our PCB structure, right? The ground, the substrate, and the conductor. So that conductor is where we are going to draw, right? So I just come back to this once we finish the antenna, right? I just wanted to give you a perspective where we are going to draw, right? Close this. Just closing these windows just to make sure I have enough RAM when I simulate it. And otherwise, software has the capability. Sometimes it gets, because I have multiple softwares, so it might get stuck sometimes, right? So now I have told you about the ways to design your antennas. Sorry, not only antennas, define your PCB structures and which layer we are going to design. Right now, we'll start designing. Right. Otherwise, what we have here is we have these zoom capabilities, like you have this magnifying glass plus to minus, right? You can magnify, you can rotate using these icons here, right? And then you have the grid snap. Maybe this is not needed as of now, but when you start designing enough circuits, you'll understand the need for these toggle intersection snap, toggle vertex snap, all those things. Right. As of now, just understand how we are going to design antenna now. Right. The point here is the 0, 0 point, the axis which you see here, uh, that 0, 0 point is where we are going to start our antenna design and we are going to end our antenna design there, right? Let's see how does that happen, right? So let's begin the antenna design. Hopefully all of you are listening, right? So this particular design, as I said, this is the same procedure which we follow even for industrial participants. So don't worry. Right? 13 steps will complete our antenna design. Right. So I'll just save my design. You go to insert. I click on insert polygon. Then I go to insert. I click on coordinate entry here at the bottom. You can see coordinate entry. Right. I'll share this software link to HOD sir. Maybe he'll share the download link to you. Right. It's a YouTube video. You can learn how to install from that video, and below that video you have the installation link. Right. You can share. You can use it for educational learning purposes. Right. So what I have done here is I go to insert, I go to polygon, then I go to insert and coordinate entry. Why? Because we will draw an antenna from the 0, 0 point to the from that point we are going to draw the antenna. Right. So I just draw that now. So here you can see the x and y coordinates. Right. So I just keep x as 0 and y as 0. Then click on apply. You should not click OK till the last step. Right. So just keep on clicking apply. Right. So the next coordinate point is 0, 29.2. So I just change y as 29.2. Click on apply. You can see if I zoom in, zoom out, you can see that the orange color line has come up, right? So that point, so 0, 0 to 29.2, we have drawn a line using this coordinate entry point. Right? Let's see how that line travels now. Right. So the next coordinate is 29.2, 29.2. Right. Click on apply. You see that line where it has gone now. It has gone to the 29.2, 29.2. Next is 0. Sorry, 29.2, 0. You can see if you are already seeing the window, the screens, you can see that the orange color line has gone from 0, 0 to 29.2 to 29.2 and back to 0. Right. So now we are going to go ahead with the next steps. So the next step is we're going to draw the feed. Right. So for that, 17.5 feed is the input point to the antenna. Right. So we're going to draw that now. So it's 17.5 to 0. Right. So feed is going to come like this in this area. Right. So feed is going to come there. Right. So now for that, the next point is 17.5, comma 12. Then 16.1, comma 12. Okay. Then 16.1, comma minus 10. You see that? So you can see here the structure being drawn here. So we started from here, went here, come here, and then gradually built up the feeding structure. Right. So at each corner, that is the feed, that is the coordinate point which we are mentioning here. Right. That's how we draw this antenna. Right. Then the next point is 13.1. How I found out these points are, as I said, we have to solve those 10 equations. We will get an overall dimension. So from that overall dimension, we have to find these coordinate points. Right. So that requires a different set of steps, which if you are interested, maybe you can learn in the another session. Right. So click on apply. So next is 13.1, comma 12. Click on apply, and then the next step is 11.7, comma 12, right? And the next step is 11.7, comma 0, and the last step is 0, comma 0, right? So it might be like a magic, right? So within 13 steps, we have come actually drawn an antenna, right? But as I said, you have to solve those 10 equations and draw this by hand in a paper and then find out the coordinate points, right? So that will take a lot of time, but the software, in my opinion, the software should occupy only 20 to 25% of your design process, any design process. The calculation and the brainstorming is what takes other 50%, and the remaining 25 to 30% is occupied by the fabrication and testing. Right, so that's how you should approach the antenna design. The simulation, software simulation, is only 25% of the job, right? So don't take it as the 100% job, right? So yeah, so now coming back, so here what we have done is we have drawn this rectangular microstrip patch antenna. Why rectangle? Because the patch which you see there, right? So that is a kind of a rectangle, and this part which you see here, right? So this part, the bottom part, right? So this is the feeding point. So the antenna has to be fed with the power, or the if it is a transmitting antenna. If it is a receiving antenna, and the received power has to be fed into the transceiver structure for the processor to decode it. Right. In this case of this seminar, in my laptop, it is a transmitting antenna. So my voice is getting converted into electromagnetic wave and sent to the nearest Wi-Fi hotspot. Right. So in your case, it is a receiving antenna. Right. So the antenna is receiving the electromagnetic wave, converting it to an electromagnetic wave so that your processor can decode it and you are able to hear it. Right. So that is the job of an antenna. So any product which you talk about wireless power transfer or wireless product, it has to have an antenna and it has to have a supporting transceiver circuit. So an antenna is followed by a filter, amplifier, mixer, and oscillator. It has to be there if antenna is there, right? So in that case, designing these circuits will never go out of fashion because we are talking about all the wireless communication devices these days. Everything is becoming wireless, right? From medical services, everything is becoming wireless, right? So yeah, so antennas and the RF antennas will never go out of fashion, right? So in that case, and designing this antenna, if you are learning the antenna design today, you will definitely gain enough inspiration, and you can start designing, building your own circuits irrespective, you're in your institution, you might have other software also. You can also learn them. Learning them is not a challenge, right? So you can learn them and install them. Sorry, use them for your benefit. Right. So coming back, so here we have designed this antenna and the feeding structure. So let's consider this is transmitting antenna, right? So feed the power here, we have to give a feeding point here, right? So the software will not understand which is the feeding point, right? So we have to specify which is the feeding point here. So for that we have an option called pin here, PIN, pin, right? So I'll just choose pin here from this insert option, insert and pin. Right. So now I have to zoom into the feeding point. Just zoom out and just zooming into this bottom feed point. We are feeding power, so that's why it is called as feed. So just place this. Automatically the mouse, the arrow mark will turn towards the feed. Right. So just click on the point here. Right. So you can see P1. Make sure that it is maybe at least nearly at the center, because otherwise you will get maybe mismatched results, right? So the position of the port is very, very important, right? So here what we have done is we have designed an antenna and we have told the software that this is the input point, right? This is where the antenna will receive the incoming wave, or it will send the outgoing incoming wave from the free air to the transceiver circuit, right? So this is the second step. Draw the circuit in the first step. Second step is specifying the input or output point by using the pins. Right, that is the second step. Now what we have to do is go and define the simulation parameters, the substrate which I showed you, right? We have to define that. Right, so let's do that. So I have to click on this EM, maybe I'll just choose this. I have to click on this EM and click on simulation settings. Right, click on simulation settings. In the simulation settings, what we have to do is we'll get a new window. So in the simulation settings, we have to specify what is the start and stop frequency and what is the number of points we want in the output graph. And we have to specify what kind of substrate you are using. Maybe I have told you in the morning session itself. The substrate is very, very important. So I just click on substrate and click on open. Nothing will be visible, so you have to click on view all here, right? So click on view all. Maybe when you watch this recorded video you will understand that, right? So view all, you'll get this. So here we have to specify what metal we are going to use, right? What kind of substrate we are going to use. That's very important, because otherwise your antenna performance will vary a lot, right? Depending upon what you are expecting and what you are achieving, right? So specifying the substrate is very important to give that capacitive or inductive effect. Only then the wave will propagate and you'll get maximum gain. Right. So I click on this smaller yellow color line, top layer, conductor layer. So in the materials, I choose copper. Because mostly copper is only available. So if you don't know what metal to choose and what substrate to choose, just check with the fabrication units, or go to the websites like Rogers or FR4. Sorry, go to their websites and check what is the metal they are using and what thickness there is available. Don't give any arbitrary metal or any thickness, because when you buy that fabrication laminate, that might not match. It's always refer to Rogers website and FR4 website, because these are the common used substrate laminates, right? So here I'm just choosing FR4, and the thickness, in general, thickness is 35 microns, or half O's metal. Right? The half O's metal is liquefied, and liquid metal is measured as O's. So half O's metal is poured on the laminate. So that will give us a thickness of 35 microns. So I choose 35 microns. Just a moment. Have some water. Right. So I have chosen the thickness. I have given the thickness as 35. Where am I giving? In the right hand side, in the table, I have just given 35 microns. right? So I've chosen copper and given 35 microns. I'll also choose intrude into substrate. And I'll tell you what that is. Right, so intrude into substrate means you can see when it was sheet, it is inside the substrate. Within the substrate, the thickness is considered. So when I click on intrude the substrate, the conductor, this layer pops up. Just observe, this is normal. The yellow color line is within the substrate. But when I give intrude into substrate, it is above the substrate layer, right? So that's how metal is poured, right? So I just choose intrude into substrate, 35 microns, right? Then I click on the blue color slab. When I click on blue color slab, that is the dielectric material. Dielectric material is neither conductor nor insulator, right? So it's a semiconductor dielectric material which is used to give us a performance which is maybe, as I said, semiconductor performance, which actually does not conduct the electromagnetic wave but conducts, right? So that is semiconductor, right? So only in the external influence the dielectric material will conduct the electromagnetic wave. What is that influence? When an electromagnetic wave comes and interacts on the antenna surface, the dielectric material will start conducting and allow the wave to pass through it. Right. So that's the reason. So to have that conduction from point A to point B, right? For example, in this antenna design, from this point, feeding point to the outermost point, if the electromagnetic wave has to pass through it, there has to be some inductive and capacitive effect, right? And that goes back to your EMF classes, right? So I'm not going to that now. You have to have an electromagnetic effect. Just understand this, that, right? So to include that effect, you have to have a separation between your top conductor and the ground. Right. That is provided by this dielectric material. So you cannot have a metal in between because that will create a metal bar. Right. That is not possible. You cannot have air in between because you cannot support an antenna on the top and ground on the bottom by air in a product. Right? So you have to have some solid which does not conduct but conducts under some influence. Right? So that's why we go for dielectric material. Right. So here you can see the top metal and the bottom metal are yellow color, right? So ground is the bottom. In between you have this dielectric material. So by default it is alumina 9.6, but mostly we choose another component called as FR4, right? FR4 core. Here you can see that. Otherwise, we have a lot of other. How I came here, I clicked on this dotted menu, click on add from database. Right. So here you can see a lot of different types of dielectric materials are available. Most probably, as I said, we either go for FR4 because it is cheap and easy to fabricate, easily available, so easy to fabricate. And we also go for Rogers substrate. Right. So you can see the Rogers TD Lloyd Rogers substrate. This series is very effective when you require high gain antennas. Right. So if you want easy to fabricate and cheap uh, uh, antennas, you can go for FR4 and Rogers when you want high key antenna, high performance antennas. Right. And most of the military grade antennas use Rogers only, right? So and when I tell that, it means that it's also costing, right? So that's the reason. Mostly, most research also is happening only on FR4 based antennas, right? So you can choose anyone depending upon the budget of your product and budget of your antenna. As of today, we are just going to choose FR4 core, right? So click on OK. So I have to go here and choose FR4 core. So FR4, the dielectric constant is 9.4.6, sorry. And for the alumina, it was 9.5, 9.6, I guess. Right. So the change in the dielectric material, right? So here 4.6 is the epsilon value, the permittivity of the FR4. Permittivity is the ability of the substrate to get polarized by electric field, right? And permeability is the ability of any material to get affected by magnetic field, right? So any product you take, any component you take in either naturally occurring or or human made, it has to have this capability, right? So that's why you can see the change in the dielectric property here. So for FR4, the value is 4.6 comparatively to aluminum. Aluminum was 9.5, which means that FR4 is more easily uh, influenced by the incoming electromagnetic wave. It can transfer the electromagnetic wave in a much lossless manner. Right. So that's why we choose FR4. And then the thickness of FR4 is 1.6 mm. Again, mm 1.6 is the industry standard. Again, FR4 boards only come in this dimension. If you want a thicker or a thinner material, you have to check with the foundry or the fabrication houses and then start designing your antenna. Otherwise, if you don't check, it means that you will design a very good antenna, but your antenna will not be able to fabricate it. Right? That's one very big challenge which you will face. Right? So always check with the nearest whichever foundry you have. Check with them and then do your antenna design. Right? Then we go to the ground layer. Ground layer is again a copper, and the thickness of that is 35 microns. Same metal, right? So copper, 35 microns. Same the substrate. So substrate definition is the most important type of design step in any antenna design, in any microstrip structure design or PCB structure design. Right. I just saved this design and close this. So when I go back to the EM setup, my substrate is defined now, right? So in the EM setup, you can see the alumina has changed to FR4. Now I only have conductor on the top, right? Then next I go to ports. So ports, you can see we have pulled up a one pin, right? So P1 is the positive and the ground is negative automatically, right? So the software, the ADS software will automatically assign the ground depending upon natural conventions and the transmission equations. In other softwares, we have to design each and every layer. Right? That is the difference. Right. So and the frequency plan, by default you have the 0 to 10 gigahertz because I know what frequency this antenna is resonating. I just switch to a minimum range that is 5 gigahertz. Right. So then you can change the number of points you need if you need, but I'll just keep it as 50 points. Maybe I'll decrease it to 25 points so that we can analyze faster. Right. Then we have the output plan depending upon the plans we can choose. I'll just choose all generated frequencies and options. We'll not go into that now. So yeah, so what we have done so far is we have designed this antenna, right? We have used the coordinate entry point and designed this antenna. We have given this feed 2 steps. Third step was defining the substrate. Yes, defining this substrate. And the fourth step was frequency plan. Save the EM setup and click on this simulate option in the bottom or click on this EM icon. Right, we have to click on this EM icon or at the bottom of this window, just maximize at the bottom right hand side corner, you'll see simulate option. I'll just click on the simulate option. Right. That's how easy actually it is to design an antenna using ADS software. Right. Maybe when your antenna complexity increases, the number of steps might increase. Right. So that's obviously there. So comparatively, I guess in my experience of using ADS, EM Pro, HOSS, and CST, ADS is comparatively easy. And maybe once you design your first prototype in ADS, then you can switch to CST or HFSS or EM Pro, depending upon the needs of your antenna design. And that's my idea, and that's how we approach antenna design at Tesla Minds company also. Right? So yeah, let's wait for the software to complete. So I have given 25 points. Right. So yeah, so we can see the number there, simulation number. So you can see if you can read this running log there, you can see Green's function, interaction matrix. Right. So that's the point where I understood why we study mathematics. Right. So what happens here is just to show you, the structure is defined. You can see the structure is subdivided into small blocks. If you can see that. Can see that, right? So what happens here is each and every block subdivision is solved for that 0 to 5 gigahertz frequency range, right? And they are summed up together to give us the graph, right? So what happens here is for each one of these blocks, for example, if for this particular square or rectangle, small block, the matrix is solved. The S matrix and the Green's functions is solved as a integral or a function, and they are given as the point here as a graph here. Right, so that's what's happening. You can see the interaction matrix, interaction, Green's function. Right, so that is what happening here. So this process is called as meshing. Right? Mesh, MESH, meshing. Right? Meshing is a process of subdividing. It is happening behind the screens. We don't do anything with respect to that. Right? So meshing is the subdividing a circuit in such a way that depending upon the frequency range you have chosen, subdividing the circuit, and just come here, subdividing circuit so that you will be able to uh, solve the design quicker and much more effectively. Right. It's like eating a pizza piece by piece, right? So you not have the entire pizza in a single take, right? So like that, you in this example, antenna is divided into small parts, and the equations are solved for that, and the answers are interpolated together. And so you can see the graph here. So we'll get to graph. This is not needed as of now. So we'll get to one graph which is called as the return loss graph. So this is that graph. So in this graph, what we can understand is two things. One thing is whether impedance match has happened perfectly or not, and the other thing is what is the bandwidth of our antenna. Right. So here you can see the point to note down here is, I guess I'm not sure how many of you have designed amplifier or filter. I guess you have designed maybe in the first year graph, first year labs, you would have designed antennas and filters with similar graph. Right. So there you have taken 3 dB line as a reference point. Right. So like that, you here in case of antenna design, only for antenna design, I'll just repeat, only for antenna design, the reference point is minus 10 dB. Right. So here you can see minus 10. Right. So that is the reference point. So what you have to observe in an antenna design graph is below the minus 10 dB, whether you are getting any response. Right. So here you can see this particular area. Right. So I'll just place a marker there, this particular area, right there where I place the marker, that is below the minus 10 dB. So below that reference point, whatever response I get, that is a very good resonance frequency. So now I can use this antenna for what is that exact frequency. So I can use this antenna for transmitting or receiving 2.39 gigahertz frequency, because there we get minus 11.925. Right. Anything less than minus 10, that frequency is good to be used in the antenna as a resonance frequency. So if I give input of 2.39, nearly 2.4 gigahertz to the antenna, so what will happen now is the antenna will transmit or receive it efficiently, right, without or with minimum losses or maximum gain. That is the idea here. And so the reference point here is minus 10 D. Right? I guess I have forgot one thing. I'll just include that also and re-simulate it. Otherwise, we should get normally when you simulate any antenna, minus 10 of course is the reference point. Your actual return loss or the S1 graph should be around minus 25, 30 or minus 40 dB, because if you get minus 35 dB here in the simulation and then you go fabricate and test your antenna, that fabrication process and the soldering process will account for some losses, right? So to accommodate for that, in this simulation, this minus 11.925 will not be enough, right? So you have to get at least minus 25 to 30 dB, right? So for that, I forgot one step. I'll just do that now. So I go to the substrate. I forgot to include the tangent delta. Right, I'll just choose that. So tangent delta is the loss characteristics. Right. Let's include that. Tangent delta here is 11, sorry, 0.001. Earlier it was 0.01. That was a small change. Let's see if we get the required result. We should get. Right. So I'm just refining my substrate. I forgot to that input that point. I've just changed that point. Right. So the idea here is the first thing you have to visualize in this graph is are we getting any response less than -10? If we are getting, we have designed the antenna correctly. Maybe if you are not getting enough value, like now we got that we only got 11.95 minus 11.925, right? That can be improved at any point, right? So that is not the issue. But the first thing you have to note down here is whether we are getting the required response or not. If you are planning for ISM band, that exact frequency you should get first, right? So that is the verifying graph. This is the most important graph for any antenna design. Beyond this, you have a lot of other graphs also, like the radiation pattern, gain, and all those things. But if you don't get the required resonance frequency and the impedance match in this graph, referring to those values will not be useful, right? So it's always better you go with the S1 graph first when you design your own antenna. You go with the S1 antenna and then start working on the gain factors and all. Right, let's see when this simulation completes. Let's see what happens to the values, and then we can go and analyze the near field characteristics. Right. So in antenna, you have near field and far field characteristics. Near field characteristics are near the product or near the antenna. Far fields are, as the name suggests, right? So away from the product, right? So near field effects contribute to the SAR effects and radiation pattern and all those, right? So they can be analyzed in the software. For far field effects, you have to fabricate the antenna and test it in an anechoic chamber. And so that cannot be done in the software too. Right, let's wait for this simulation to complete and we can analyze the parameters again. Right, so here you can see I just changed that tangent delta which I forgot, but now we can see that we are getting the resonance frequency of 2.39, which is again nearly 2.4, and we are getting the S11 value as minus 28.8, nearly minus 30. Right. So this is a good S11 response because with respect to your simulation and fabricated results, you are going to have minus 10 dB variation. Right. So in a simulation, you always have to have the values at minus 30 or minus 45 dB, right? So now if I am confident about or when I'm okay, so still minus 10 dB is the reference, right? So minus 10 dB, now I'm fine with that. So now once we are fine with this, next logical step should be our near field effect, right? The visualization of radiation pattern and the animation, right? Current distribution animation, right? Just to minimize and click on the far field option. So far field option is this option here, this option here, right? So or otherwise I'll go now. So EM post processing far field, right? So this you can see EM post processing and far field. So getting used to the logos, maybe you will get used to the logos once you start designing the antennas. I don't worry about it. So I clicked on the far field option and the simulations will arise in a moment. So what we are seeing now is a 3D visualization of the antenna structures. Right. So here you can see a 3D visualization of the radiation pattern as well as the current distribution. Right. So first thing what we have to do is the left hand side bottom you have properties, solution setup, and plot properties. Right. So in that option, select solution setup. There go and select what is our resonance frequency. Right? So here you have lot of frequency points, but our resonance frequency was close to 3.6, right? So 3.38, right? So 3 point, maybe we choose 2.4 gigahertz, right? So once you click on, so if it was zero, we saw nothing. But when I click on 2.4, immediately we got this apple-like structure, right? So this is the 3D radiation pattern, right? So I just rotate this. So you can see a graph there, a polar graph, 0 degree, 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, right? So this is the way in which this antenna which we have designed will radiate if it is kept at that center point, right? Exactly at the center point. If I keep the antenna there, flat like this, facing upwards, right? So if I keep my antenna facing upwards, this is how it will radiate around 360 degree, right? So this is that 3D visualization of my radiation pattern. If you don't make any sense of it, I'll show you the 2D radiation pattern. Maybe after that you will make sense out of it, right? So this is one very interesting graph which you can visualize here in this ADS tool. Right? Next graph is, sorry, next solution setup is this current distribution. Maybe this will excite you, right? So current distribution, what we have to do is we have to animate this to see how electromagnetic field flow inside the circuit, right? This is maybe there's the only place where you can visualize electromagnetic wave here, right? So then go to plot properties, enable the dB scale and click on animate, right? So it is not visible. I just decrease the value. Okay. So here you can see the variations, right? The color variations. So blue means no radiation at all. Red means maximum radiation. So you can see the points at which the antenna is radiating. So the close points, the edge points are more radiating. You can see that, right? So the edge points are more radiating and the central points are not that much contributing to the radiation, right? So this is a very big realization for any beginner antenna engineer. So the antenna does not radiate entirely. Antenna only, sorry, I just redefine it, just a moment. Right, so here you can see the antenna radiates only at the edges. So any transmission line or only, sorry, any antenna will only radiate on the edges, right? So it will not radiate on the center. So this is one very good visualization where you can prove that, right? And why only at the edges? Because that's how magnetic field go back to the ground in any PCB structure, right? So maybe that for to understand that you have to go and visit Maxwell's equation. You have to say hi to Maxwell, right? So yeah, so this is one more interesting animation or graph, or sorry, not graph, visualize, sorry, visualizations which you can see here in this ADA software, right? And then now maybe if you want to understand what is the gain, the power radiated and all. So for that I go to this option called far fields and click on antenna parameters. So here in this pop-up window, I can get for this particular frequency 2.4 gigahertz. My directivity is 3.6.3, gain is 4.8, radiation efficiency is 71%, and the maximum intensity is 0.00045 watts per steradian. Why you need this? Because to understand the SAR values, this is very very important, right? To have the SAR, which is a specific absorption rate, uh, specified by the medical association for minimizing the effect of radiation on human body. Right. So to understand that, you need this value there. Right. So for an antenna, the most important graph which we have seen now is the S11 graph, the initial graph. This was the most important. Once this is finalized, then we went to this near field and analyzed the radiation pattern. We just saw the radiation pattern, right? Then we visualized the way in which the electromagnetic fields flow inside the antenna structure. You can see the, maybe I'll just show you the arrow also. Right? Just a moment. Right. Maybe I'm sorry, but the update is slow. Okay, but you can see the arrow marks changing there, changing its polarity for each cycle. So that's how power enters or leaves the antenna in the structure. I'm sorry if the response update is slow, but if you spend time, you can see that. So that's how power. You can see this junction. This junction, how the power enters and leaves here. Just see, just that moment, right? Just see that. Yeah, exactly now, right? So the how power couples into the feed and comes out of that junction point between the feed and patch. Right. So it's a very interesting graph, right? So sorry, not graph, visualization. If you're not comfortable with arrows, you can also use contour points. Contours are simple lines which you can enable and see the responses here. Right. So small lines, maybe I guess it's not visible. Increase the divisions. These lines are not visible, right? So yeah, fine. Just the arrow marks. Arrows are much better, right? So this is how you use different options here, right? To visualize the way in which the electromagnetic fields flow to your design. Next, we have shown you, or we have seen the gain, directivity, radiation efficiency, and maximum intensity of the radiation on the near field area. Right. So this is all you can analyze for any antenna. Right. So other than that, you might be very interested in the radar cross section. You might be interested in placing this antenna on a product and analyzing the effect of this product. You might be interested in designing the product itself with your antenna. For that, you have to go with other softwares called EM Pro, CST, and HOSS. Why? Because there only you can do the 3D model. Right? So 3D modeling in the sense the product placement analysis and all those things you can do only in those 3D models. ADA software is only a 2D model. Right? So that's the only limitations of ADA software. But as I said in the beginning itself, if you are only concerned with microstrip antenna design, ADIS is the mostly enough software for you. Right? I did my project in ADIS software only. Right? So likewise, ADIS is enough only if you are only dealing with antenna, or if your team is only dealing with antenna design. ADIS is the most powerful tool. Right. So this is the performance parameter. Maybe as I told you, I'll show you the 2D characteristics. Right. So I'll just enable this option. So this is where you can visualize the 2D radiation pattern. That's simply how we can visualize radiation pattern. Right. So this is what we saw, the apple-like structure. Right. So if my antenna is placed at the center, you can see the red and blue color line, right? So this is how the gain and directivity will vary, and this is how my radiation will be there. Right. So that this is the 2D. What we saw like apple-like structure, that was a 3D structure. Right. You can also have information like the polarization and the axial ratio here. Right. So I'll just show you that also. Maybe this might be too much if you're a beginner, but if you're already designing antennas, you will follow or you will be happy with the key terms here, right? Just to show you the polarization, then I'll switch to the topics. Right. Yeah. So this is the polarization view. What is the orientation of the electromagnetic field coming out of the antenna? Why this is important? Because only if you know the orientation of electromagnetic field coming out of your antenna, you can align the position of your antenna with respect to the transmitter. For example, if you are getting information from a Wi-Fi access point, your antenna orientation should be same of that particular transmitting antenna. Otherwise, the information will not get passed. Right, so it's very important. Right, so that is how polarization is important in antenna design. So generally, the strict orientation is followed by linear polarization. But in our cases, we don't use in our general use cases we don't mind how the antenna is placed in our mobile tower, right? So we use the mobile phone as in which direction we want, but still we get the required tower, right? So that kind of antenna design is called as circular polarization or cross polarization, right? So to analyze that in which orientation your antenna is going to be radiated, so that's why this polarization graph is very important, right? And how to find which type of polarization your antenna is resonating, so that is given by this parameter called axle ratio. Right? The axle ratio defines the type of polarization which you have: elliptical, cross polarization, circular polarization, anything like that. You have a lot of factors here. Maybe once you start designing your antenna, you'll be able to understand the axle ratio thing. Right? So for an antenna, you need the S11 graph. You need the 2D radiation pattern, and you also need, in some cases, the 3D radiation pattern. You need the current distribution visualization. You need the gain, directivity, maximum radiation efficiency, intensity of the radiation, so that you can know the SAR effect. Right. Then you need to know the axial ratio of your antenna and the overall dimension of your antenna. Right. So these are the 10 different parameters you have to analyze for a very simple antenna. Right. If you want to go and add some characteristics, that depends upon your antenna design or product development complexity. Right. So, but any antenna, right, from satellites to a basic antenna designed for a remote controlled car. Right? So all the antennas require to have this basic 10 different calculations or 10 different dimensions. Sorry, 10 different graphs or measurements you have to take for any antenna. Right? So this is within the software tool. So after you are done with this, after you are fine and you are comfortable with this particular software, sorry, yeah, software derived results, I just close this. Right, so we have designed this antenna, we have analyzed the S11, sorry, we have then gone back to the and substrate. We have just changed the tangent delta value. Then we resimulated this design and analyzed the radiation pattern and all the other parameters, right? So 10 different parameters we have visualized for this simple rectangular strip patch antenna, right? But now, since we are all comfortable with this design, I am okay with this design, right? So for that, then I have to then export this design so that I can send it to fabrication, right? So for that, I have to go to file and I have to click on export, right? I have to go to file and click on export. In the export window, depending upon which format your fabrication unit accepts, you have to ask them first, of course, right? So you have to ask them which format you accept, either DXF or EGS, GDS22, Gerber, ODB, this IGES, right? These are the different file formats, the different softwares accept, different PCB softwares accept, right? So depending upon that, you can choose it. But generally, what we do is we generally export Gerber file, the GER. Gerber file is the most common file all major PCB softwares accept. Right? They are compatible with that. Right? So I just choose Gerber drill and I'll just click on View File After Report. You can browse. You can browse any location which you want, where you want to save. Right? You can save it on desktop or any folder which you want on your system. Right? By default, it will be the same file where this project file is saved. Right? So I'll just go with that. And click on OK. Right, so you can see that the Gerber file. So this is the Gerber file, right? So this file will be understood by the PCB software. So here we don't have any dimensions, but when I give this Gerber file to the PCB fabrication software, there exactly whatever dimensions we mention here, that will be taken there, right? So that is the Gerber file. So all the dimensions are saved in this file format, right? So this is how you go from design. This is how you go from design to the fabrication part. So after the fabrication, what you can do is you can go and get your antenna, then solder the connector on the antenna, and quickly test your antenna using either network analyzer or spectrum analyzer. Right, so you test that and characterize your antenna. Characterization in the sense, whatever you have 10 different dimensions, sorry, 10 different measurements you have taken in this particular simulation, that you have to authenticate using the test and measurement instruments. Right? Only then your antenna design will be complete. Right? But effectively, it can be a simple antenna like this or a complex antenna, whatever you are trying to design. For all the antennas, the procedure is still the same. Right. So I'll just save the design. I'll just show you one more capability of the schematic window. Maybe since we have 10 more minutes, yeah, we have 20 more minutes. I'll just close that. Right. So yeah, so this was the antenna design. So now, if I want to include a rectifier with the design, right? For example, if I want to do RF energy harvesting, or if I want to see how a filter, if I add a filter with this antenna, how is going to be my response, right? So in that case, I have to do something called as co-simulation, right? So for co-simulation, we have to take this antenna to the schematic window. Schematic window in the sense the other half of the EDS software. I'll just show you that also. Right. So I just go to first. I have to save this as a symbol. Right. So I just go to EM and yeah, I go to EM and click on create EM model and symbol. Right. Why I am doing this? I'm just going to take this antenna exactly as it is to this simulation window. Right. So I'll just show you that also. Right. Minimize this window. Now I go to the EDS main window and open a new schematic, the other half of the EDS software. Right. So that you can learn about the schematic also. Right. So I go to the schematic window, create a new schematic. So this is the other half, right? So here you can see, here this is the PCB level design, breadboard level design. Here we are not concerned with drawing anything. Here we are concerned with picking and placing the components. For example, you can pick and place components like this. Okay, it's more like a PCB design. Sorry, PSpice design. Pick and place component. And so this is schematic window of ADS. Right, you have lot of options here. You have the components, basic components. You have the microstrip lines. You have the fit, BJT, those kinds of. Just a moment. Sorry. Just a moment. I'll have some water. Yeah. Thank you for bearing with me. Right. So, yeah. So here we have a lot of component. We can place components. So this is that difference. So in the layout window, we had drawing of the design. Here it is just pick and place. Right. So we'll just call that antenna now. Right. So I'll just go to insert component and then I place that antenna component here. Right. You can see I can create an array structure directly here. Right. Or I can I told you about smart antennas, right? So that can be completely created using this. This EM model, right? So here the difference is in the schematic window, I cannot draw anything. I can just pick and place, right? So I cannot draw an antenna, but here I can add a filter, add an amplifier with my antenna design, and simulate it together. Right? That I cannot do in the layout window. In the layout window, I cannot have a resistor. I cannot simulate for high frequency. I can only for different voltages. I cannot do in the layout. So layout is a frequency domain or completely frequency response kind of design. But in this simulation, we can give voltage input and check the response. Right. So I'll just design a filter quickly. So I just design an LC filter. So I'll just choose an inductor, pair of inductors, a pair of capacitors. I'm not sure. I'm just arbitrarily designing it. I'm not sure whether it will resonate at even 2.4 gigahertz. I'll just see. Right. Just wanted to show you the capability. Right. So this particular process is called as co-simulation. Right. So co-simulation is a very powerful tool used by the industrial designers for bringing the entire PCB board into the schematic window and testing it with the voltage inputs, right? So because fabricating the board and then testing it in real time, it's a very lengthy process as well as cost costly process, right? So that's why companies prefer using these simulation tools for their analysis, right? So just join everything using the wires. I'm just designing it arbitrarily. I'm not sure whether it will resonate at, sorry, it will filter out 2.4. Let's see. So I'll just design, and at the end, I have to place a termination. Termination is used to give a single output, right? So either input or output point, right? So for that, I have to go to simulation as parameters, pick and place simulation as parameters, and place a termination here. Maybe I'm going a little fast today, but maybe if another time, if we meet or you are coming into the course, we can learn this at your own pace or you can learn this slowly. Right. So this process, I'm not guaranteeing you the exact result, but this process of co-simulating both the layout as well as the schematic component is called as co-simulation. Right. So what I've done is I'm just showing you a method of optimizing the performance. If you're not able to optimize the performance, or if you're designing an RF energy harvesting antenna, or you are designing, you want to design antenna, and you want to check if you are including this antenna in a real-time transfer receiver, you can check that using this co-simulation option. Right. So here, this is just a filter. I'll just save and run the simulation. The results I'm not guaranteeing it, but what you'll get now here is some sort of filtering response. Let's see what filtering we get. Right. So this was our initial graph. Right. This is what we got in the yeah, maybe this week we'll take it, right? So here you can see that here some frequencies are there. Some unwanted frequencies are getting started to getting resonate, right? So we want to avoid this frequency, right? So for that we have to include the filter, right? So maybe that will be a very good use case, right? So let's see. I'm not guaranteeing, but let's see, right? So I just simulate. Right, so till that simulates, I'll just tell you a few other things before we close. Right, so here, yeah, so here you can see a lot of different kinds of blocks, like the Bluetooth. You can see 5G, narrow bandwidth IoT, and then you have WLAN, Digimod, radar, WLAN, LTE, communications. Like so, depending upon what product you are working on, you have blocks which you can place here. For example, I'll take the Bluetooth example. Let's close this. Bluetooth example. So we can place a Bluetooth based block here. Right. You have to know what are all these. That's a different story. Right. So I can create the entire Bluetooth link here using these components. Right. And then maybe I can add my Bluetooth antenna here in this one of the input points. Right. So that is a very powerful way of using the ADA software. You have the entire transceiver design capability in this tool. You can design your entire product here in this tool, right? So but this is only a 2D tool. It's not a 3D design tool, right? So I just go to the graph now. I have to pick and place the graph to give me that S11 very vague graph. Let's see if I can increase the number of points. I guess the frequency has shifted because we have included this in inductors and capacitors. The frequency has shifted now, right? So we have to make up for it. But I hope you get the measure of what is capabilities are, right? So yeah, I'll just wait for the updated results. I'll also show you, maybe I'll also show you the fine tuning aspect. Yeah, the simulation is running. So here in the bottom, you can see the points running out here. In a moment, we'll have the graph and we can conclude the session, right? So far, from the morning, what we have seen is in the morning session, we have talked about the different kinds of telemedicine application, and then we have talked about the implantable devices. Just a moment, I just plug in my charger. Right. So we have talked about the implantable devices, the sensors which can be used for biomedical monitoring, health monitoring, and then we have also talked about the wearable devices, the new type of wearable devices which can be used. And we talked about the different kinds of antennas, right? So this was the antenna which I was talking about. This is only one resonance frequency. So if you only have one resonance frequency, that is enough for biomedical application. But in some cases, like a wearable smartwatch like that, you need multiple bands, right? So we saw about multiple bands, the smart antennas, the reconfigurable antennas, and the wearable flexible antennas, which you can stitch uh, using the conductive links and conductive threads. Right, so that can be possible. Right. Yeah, the simulation is complete. No, it's not completed. Right. So yeah, that's what we have seen in the morning session, and in the afternoon session, we what we have seen is we have designed a very simple microspatch antenna using the ADS software, and then what we have done, we have analyzed the frequency response, the first graph which we have seen. Then we have analyzed the other parameters. In total, 10 different parameters I've shown you for required for antenna design. Maybe in some cases, the advanced antenna design or when you go to the product level design, you might add one or two more of the design parameters. Otherwise, most of the time, these parameters are enough for any antenna design. Right. So the choice of the software, as far as my suggestion is concerned, if you're only concerned with the microchip patch antenna design, go with the software. But if you want the 3D visualization or more kind of 3D near field and far field effects, sorry, near field effects, so in that case, you have to go, or if you want to do the antenna placement analysis you want to create your own model of the product, right? So that is you have to go for 3D EM model tools like EM Pro, HFSS, and CST, right? So maybe in most of our training courses we use CST tool, which is a 3D tool. So maybe in the diploma course also we'll be using the CST tool for the apartments, right? So maybe if you are interested in applied design, you can join the diploma course which starts on January 2nd, and maybe it will end on June 30th. So you can learn at your own pace, you can log in and learn at your own pace. It's a completely 100% online training module. So you can go to jayanan.com, www.jayanan.com, and see the full complete agenda and the registration details. So registration fees is only 963 rupees up till tomorrow. Right? So after that, the fees is 2,500. Right. So maybe if you are not interested, maybe the faculties and the other department students can also join in this course. It will surely benefit. It's a combination of the 16 different courses which we have boosted from the past 1 year. Right. So that's why it's kind of a membership bundle. Right. So you can benefit from that. Right. So as of now, the simulation is running. Let's see if the simulation completes on time, or otherwise I'll stop it. Maybe I'll stop it and resimulate. It's taking too much time. Right, I'll stop it. Yes, we have some results, some kind of results. So here you can see. Um, This is the result which was simulated, and maybe some points have been loaded, right? So not all the points have been loaded, and I'll just show you that also, right? So here you can see that the 2 point. Right, so we are getting this response. So the change in the from -25 to -17 was because of the inductor which we have added here. Right. So now, if you want to find on this, you can change the inductor and capacitor value to change this value. Right? I'll just show that, and then we can end. Right. So one last step, we'll do that. We do this. I just rerun the simulation so that we can finally complete with the fine tuning aspect also. Right, so I'll just show you that also. This simulation will complete soon so that we can complete. And yeah, this is faster. So see, still we are getting that response. Right, so still we are getting that response in that 5 gigahertz range, but it has gone below the -10, above the -10. Right. So because we have introduced that filter, that frequency response has gone above the -10, which means those frequencies will not be present in the frequency range. So I'm talking about this range. Just a moment. This particular range here. This range here, the black color. Right. So in this image, you can see, and I'll show you that. In the simulated graph, we saw that frequency response in that range is less than minus 10. Right, so you can see it's less than minus 10. To avoid this resonance frequency, we have included a filter in the antenna using this one particular step. We have included a filter to avoid getting that frequency inside the antenna, right? So filtering out the response, right? So in the transmitting side, so that frequency will be avoided, and the antenna will receive only what frequency it will only receive this 2.387 gigahertz frequency. But the other challenge has come up now is the response has decreased. Right? So it has gone down to minus 17. Now we what we have to do is again do the impedance matching and bring that back to the minus 20 or minus 30. So how or else you can change the orientation of these LNC components and mix match that into the impedance match. Right. This step was not needed. Just showing you how to use the course simulation aspect. Right. Otherwise, as I've already told you, you can use this particular step and we have shown you how to export also. Right. So when you complete the export, then your antenna design, the simulation is complete. Then you export your antenna, fabricate it and test it using the test set. Right. So that will complete your antenna design process. Right. So what so far in these maybe three hours or so, what we have learned is we have learned how to what are different biomedical applications, what are the applications like the wearables, telemedicine, and healthcare applications. That's what we have learned, and then we have also learned how to design an antenna using ADS software. Right? So this is what we have learned. Hopefully, it was useful for you. And sorry for my frequent interruption. I was not healthy. Sorry for that. But thank you for your patience in listening to me. And I would like to thank the management, deans, and the head of the department and the organizing committee for giving us this opportunity to share our views on antenna design and igniting the antenna design thirst in young minds like you. Right. So if you are really interested, you can join the diploma course. You can have a lot more interaction in our live sessions also. Right. So thank you for your cooperation. See you again in another session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for sparing your valuable time with us, and I hope